I'm eating a mini mac and cheese pot. Now, I don't make it with macaroni, I actually make it with fusilli, but you can use any kind of pasta. I like the fusilli, it holds even more cream in all those little ridges. Now, the great thing about these mini mac and cheeses is, usually you end up making a white sauce and it takes a long time. None of that in this one. By using cream and the way we cook it, and I'm going to show you right now, there's none of that waiting. It's quick, easy, you pop it in the oven, 20 minutes later, you have this. Creamy, cheesy, bits of ham in there, a nice crust on top with the panko breadcrumbs and some more cheese again. Delicious. Easy to make. Let's go in the kitchen, make some right now. All right, so here's the ingredients we need to make our mini mac and cheese. So I've got here 4 ounces or 110 grams of pasta. Now, you can use macaroni, but I really like using fusilli because they just hold all the little creams and stuff in those little grooves. So my favorite pasta to use for something like this. We're gonna cook that in here. We've got our water boiling now, so we're gonna add that. And basically just cook it as per directions. In this case, this pasta needs to cook for 10 minutes. Good, let's cook it for 10 minutes. As always, whenever I'm cooking pasta, I've generously salted the pasta water. That just adds to the flavor of the pasta. All right, now here's our other ingredients. What I've got here is 2 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna melt that right away. I've got half an onion finely chopped. This is 3 ounces or about 85-90 grams of ham, finely chopped, 2 tablespoons of flour, a dash, which is like 2 pinches of salt, a dash of pepper, 1 cup of heavy cream, that's like about 35% butterfat cream, and 4 ounces of cheddar cheese, which has been grated. What we have here is 1 ounce or about 28 grams of Parmesan cheese, which has been finely grated with a microplane, or the little microplanes I like to use. Anything, just grate up some cheese nice and fresh. And we have here is 3 tablespoons of the panko breadcrumbs. That's going to go, the panko breadcrumbs and the Parmesan are going to go on top of our ramekins. So, first, let's get, while this pasta is cooking, we're going to fire up the small pot. All right. Toss in the butter. Gonna melt that butter. As soon as the butter melts, we're gonna add the onion and the ham. All right, so that butter is mainly melted, so now we're gonna add in the onion. We're going to add in the ham. And over a medium-low heat, just going to cook these for about 5 to 6 minutes, just to kind of soften up the onions a bit, maybe add a little bit of color to the ham. We're not really browning it much, but we're just going to warm it up more than anything. Mainly, we want to get those onions soft. So let's come back in about 5-6 minutes. All right, so that's been cooking for about 6 minutes. The onions are soft. We've a little bit of browning, perfect. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of flour and the salt and pepper. Now, all we're gonna do with those is just let that cook about a minute. Just a minute, a little bit over a minute, just enough to take the rawness out of the flour. That whole flour in there, and combine it in with everything else. All right, that's been cooking for about a minute or two, about a minute and a half. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the cream, we're just gonna gradually add that in there. Stir a bit, add a bit more. Stir that in, and we're just scraping off anything brown that came on the bottom, so we're getting it up into that sauce. All right, add in the rest. Now what we want to do here is we just want to bring this back up to where it just starts to simmer. We don't want to cook it. We just want to bring it up to where it starts, you start seeing little bubbles around the edges. That's good. Unlike the usual white sauce, we don't have to cook this for a long time. This isn't going to have to sit here, you got 15, 20 minutes of stirring it and cooking it. None of that. All we need to do is bring this up, bring it up to simmer. That's it. So let's come back. While that's simmering, it's time to drain the pasta. I'll come back in about a minute or two when that is simmering. All right, so that just came to a simmer. I've just turned it off. That is looking really good. It's starting to get creamy already. I've drained the pasta and put it into a bowl, medium-sized bowl. Because what we're going to do now, first we're going to add the cheese. The cheddar cheese is going to go in with the hot cream. And we're just going to stir that in there just to melt the cheddar cheese a bit. So, add that in there, stir it around, just combine it. The heat is going to melt that cheese. Oh yeah, there we go. You can see the cheese melting already. Doesn't have to be perfectly 100%. We got most of it melted. Now, mix it in with your pasta. All right, gonna mix that around. Just combine it, get all that sauce. Remember, we've got this fusilli here with all those ridges, so we want to get the sauce in all around that. Let that fusilli soak up the sauce. Oh yes. All right, now I have here 2 buttered ramekins. Now all we're going to do is divide that amongst the ramekins. You want to bring it basically up to, there's usually a line in the ramekins. It's kind of like a ridge that runs around, which is about, half an inch, a little less than half an inch, about 10 millimeters below the top. That's going to be just right so we have room for our Parmesan and our breadcrumbs. So there'll be always a little bit left over. Try to get the sauce out of here. This is good to eat just as it is, so there's a little bit left over. Don't worry about that. I'm sure that'll get eaten. A bit more sauce into that one. Okay. All right. Now we've got this Parmesan cheese, and it's very fluffy when you grate it with a microplane, so you get a lot of cheese there, so you kind of have to scrunch it down a bit. But we'll just put down a layer of the cheese. And I pat it down a bit. Layer of cheese here. Pat it down a bit. Add in some breadcrumbs. And some breadcrumbs around here. Let's see, this one got cheated a bit, so a little more here. Sounds like our oven's ready. Perfect timing. That oven has been preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius. All right, look at that. We're going to get the rest of the breadcrumbs in there. Just divide it up. Pat that into there. That's going to give a nice crunchy top to your Mini Macs. Got a little bit of cheese left, so I'm just going to get that on there. Perfect. All right. Those are going to go into the 350 degree or 180 Celsius oven for 20 minutes. They're going to come out. They're going to be absolutely perfect. All right, let's see you in 20 minutes. All right, these have been 20 minutes in the oven. Look at them bubbling away nicely. Absolutely delicious. Got a bit of crispiness on top. Now, this is a little hot to eat right now. You'll want to let these sit for a couple of minutes before you serve them up. I just want to show you how creamy they are inside. Look at that. Absolutely delicious. So, Let those cool for a couple minutes. Maybe 10 minutes would be fine. You know, they're quite hot. About 10 minutes, you let them cool, and then serve them up. Oh, that panko breadcrumbs on top. Nice little bit of crunchiness there. All right, enjoy these for dinner or lunch, breakfast, anytime. Now, if you go to the link appearing on the screen, you can get the free printable recipe on our website. You'll also find a real easy to follow along recipe infographic which visually shows you steps in making these delicious mini mac and cheese pots. So, go print out the recipe, have fun making and eating these, and make cooking fun again with Kuma's Kitchen.